Hi, my name's Jez. I'm one of the co-founders of Eden Smith Group, and today I just wanted to talk to you about building a data team in what we've got now, which is a really, really skills short market of talent. And often, companies when they put a plan in place to kick off a new program or they go through some kind of data transformation, initially put the hiring plan together without actually taking a step back to really think about what the external market looks like. So thought I'd just cover this off in a fairly brief presentation. So what I try and talk to customers about is not to default immediately to recruitment. Have a proper strategy about how you're going to build this team with a lot of other considerations in place, such as what the market looks like, the size of the talent pool, how much you'll have to pay. But ultimately, taking a step back and looking at what you already have before you move to engaging suppliers to try and recruit for data people, which are typically very hard to find at the moment, as we all know. So as we know, data is beginning to transform every area of social, economic and corporate life at the moment. So the touch points are vast at the moment. But interestingly, the labour market itself is constantly changing as well. So you have to be ready to adapt and respond to that as we go through this curve previously and in the next 4 or 5 years, I expect. And there's a number of things that we have to consider as part of that. Obviously, there is a huge shortage of talent, and we would see there's a shortage of talent in most of the areas if we segment the data world from data governance, management, policy, privacy protection, data architecture, engineering, data science, analytics, machine learning. All of these areas have some challenges when we go and recruit. So, there's lots of skills gaps there. There's a huge amount of competition to secure talent right now. As we know, tons of businesses are on some kind of digital or focused data transformation and are all trying to recruit the same people. So you have to think about how you're going to do that. And unfortunately, at the moment, there is a bit of a lack of a service-based approach about how customers are being supported with recruitment from some of the suppliers. And it's just, we have to try and work out what's the best way forward. But for you as a business, if you're trying to build a team, it doesn't need to be just a data team. It could be any kind of team where there is a skill shortage. We have to rethink about what's going on. So my message to all of businesses that are trying to do this is just slow down to speed up. Take a moment to step back and think about what it is that you're doing. Because if you go to market with an ill-prepared recruitment strategy, it can cost you an absolute fortune, but ultimately it will also damage your brand. So even when you've actually got everything together and you're ready to go again, your brand might already be tarnished due to whatever reason. It could be a poor candidate experience. It could be the messaging wasn't correct. It could be that there's just apprehension around joining your business. And we need to make sure that that's right before we actually go to market. Obviously, we're a data recruitment company. That whoever it is that you do decide to engage from a data perspective, I think it's imperative that you engage a specialist, a business that really understands the industry, understands the roles, the profile, what's attracting the talent at that point in time, what sort of messaging you need to be giving to make sure that you make it as attractive as possible and put your brand there at the top. And choose a bit more of a clever solution. So it's not always the most obvious one that's presented to you when you want to go and do this. It could be something else. And I think it's about thinking about that. And you won't do that unless you just slow down initially. Often when we get approached when companies are trying to build a data team, we actually say, right, let's slow down, speed up on this. Let's stop and have a think. What sort of skills do you already have? And I pretty much can guarantee that at least 80% of businesses don't really understand what capability or skills they already have in the company. So in your organization, you might have a lot of these skills that sat in a different area that you just weren't aware of. But certainly in big corporates, this happens a lot. And also when people join businesses, they join as X, but 3 or 4 years into their journey within that organization, they now could be undertaking a different role. And the journey that they went on isn't often tracked. So you really don't know what skills they might have acquired as part of that journey. So understanding your internal capability is key. Have you investigated the skills? You might have some options available which will allow you to mobilize people internally into different roles. So internal mobility is a very, very key move that I would say which can actually help you and could change your requirement at the end with regards to your recruitment strategy. Have you spoken to the workforce that you've already got? What opportunities do you have for training? So once you've identified the capabilities that you have in your organisation, you might say then, well, it's actually easier if we train this collection of people in this given skill set, we can move people, and then actually the gaps that we have left behind are easier to fill than those of what you had at the beginning. So that's really, really important. And it also helps retain your existing employees, because as we know, retaining talent is just as key at the moment, if not, it's the most important thing for your business, because it's very costly to go to hire to the external market. Have you invested time to create a succession plan? There's lots of people in the business at the moment, if you don't really know what roles they can step into in the event of someone leaving, if retention is poor, that can also be quite a costly exercise as well. So, the more you can move internal people around, the more you can invest in training before you actually go to the market to recruit new hires. That's a much better way of thinking and a better strategy. So successful recruitment strategy, seek advice. We talk about the role profiles when lots of businesses that we speak with, the organisational design hasn't really been clearly defined. So what is your as is and what your target operating design looks like? They could be very different, and the new role and job profiles that were in that new design, have you actually looked at what they are properly, and have you aligned them with what the industry has to offer? So often we see a job specification and then we look at the market and go, well, actually a lot of this has got to change. And you don't really want to be making those changes at the end. You want to be doing that at the beginning. And again, what training can be offered? Do we know what the full remuneration packages are? Have you actually looked and done any salary benchmarking before that, or any kind of market mapping? So I would always suggest at the beginning of that strategy, that's the sort of thing you want to be doing. Once you've really understand what the role profiles are, then let's look at what's available in the market. Let's look at how much money we need to pay. Let's look at what all of the other things are that we can offer as part of that role, whether it's hybrid working or certain benefits to attract talent. Have you looked at what that is? Have you really engaged a specialist regarding your interview process? In a talent skills shortage, fast interview processes with the right amount of key decision makers. If there's any testing involved, is the testing executed in the right way? That's all imperative for the candidate journey and candidate experience to be a positive one, which is exactly what you want. Otherwise, we can be losing candidates in the process at the later part of the journey. And have you engaged how you're going to go to market? Is this just a case that you're going to use your existing preferred supplier list? Often, not many of them will have, in this example, a data specialist, or it could be another type of industry. But have you worked out what you're going to do? Engaging multiple agencies in a skills scarce market can actually be detrimental to your recruitment strategy, because when it's really, really challenging to find people, you don't really want the competition from a supplier perspective. What you want actually is partnership, and you want to work as a team to make sure that you can get this thing right. So have you considered a more service-based approach? A consultative approach to staffing does add value to your search, but what should that include? I'm often asked, and I think there are a number of things that you should be considering, or expectations you should have from your supplier before you move in this direction, but they should be expectations. So you should be looking for a business that will review your existing target operating model and the organisational design that you're planning to put in place, plus your existing one for review and comment. A review of all of the existing role profiles that you have, and the new ones, and some help to build the new ones to make sure that they're fit for purpose for moving forward. Do some market mapping, get some salary benchmarking. You should understand before you build your recruitment strategy or you execute it, how many of these people are available? Are there more contractors than there are permanent? What sort of money are they be paying? What sort of competitors are they working for? What's really attractive to them? Are they looking for certain aspects? And really do some proper analysis and market mapping. Make sure that's aligned, and then we work on your brand. You should be thinking about how, and this is why a service-based approach with an exclusive supplier is often more successful. If you think about it, the amount of messages that go out to the external market about your company, if you have multiple suppliers, there could be slight anomalies in what that message is. And when recruiters speak to the market, they could be speaking to 100 or 200 people every single week. So that message has to be directly aligned with your marketing team, so that it's very, very clear, there's clarity, and also it's attractive, whether it's through written communication, verbal communication, or video. You get the recruitment marketing strategy in place. So for us, we work with marketing teams at customers to make sure that we've got the brand book, we know what your colour scheme is like, we know what the key messaging before we speak to candidates. And then you want a pricing structure that is performance-based, and focused on both sides of the fence. So you are working in partnership with your supplier with regards to the process, messaging, communication, feedback, and only, should the supplier be rewarded once there is progress through that project. So, and you can do that in many different ways from a pricing structure, but it should be performance based on both sides. And then you put together a statement of work to say that, we're going to deliver this over this period of time. This is what success looks like. These are the key milestones as we go through the project, and hopefully we get to the end with a successful recruiting strategy. So really, that's a fairly quick synopsis of what I think you need to be thinking about as a customer who's trying to build a team, and it's really, really challenging at the moment, but we're here to help. But thank you very much for your time. I'll be happy to answer any questions on this, and good luck.